So far, I have published more than 70 videos over YouTube on different topics of zoology, in particular of the genetics, physiology, embryology, and one or two evolutionary topics. If you have time and interest, please go through. I am very sure you will have a good idea of the definition of each of the topics and also some more details. Please share and subscribe the channel. Now in this part we give details of the structure of hemoglobin and myoglobin. You know what is hemoglobin? So that is the respiratory structure, pigment present inside the RBC. It's responsible for the transport of oxygen from the region of lung to the different parts of body, without which the oxygen, atmospheric oxygen, cannot be getting into the tissue region of the body. And the RBC, that is the cell within which there are millions of molecules of hemoglobin. Now the basic unit of hemoglobin is the heme. Basic unit, what I mean, the structural unit of hemoglobin is the heme, which is responsible for attaching to oxygen and taking it to the different parts. So it is attaching to oxygen by reversible reaction. Reversible in the sense it can easily take in and release it out. Taken at the region of lung and going through the blood and reaching the tissue where there is need for oxygen, it will release the oxygen. And the myoglobin is also structurally similar to a part of hemoglobin. I tell you in the details of the structure. That also responsible for storing oxygen. Now if you say hemoglobin is for the transport of oxygen, myoglobin is to store oxygen at the muscle tissues. It receives oxygen from hemoglobin and stores and waits till the oxygen is required by the muscle internal respiratory system. Now when use the word internal respiratory system, mainly there is the mitochondria, where with the involvement of a variety of enzymes, there the oxygen is used for the production of energy. And external respiration is nothing but simply the transport of oxygen from lung region to the tissue region. To that extent we can mean by the word external respiration. Even you say the atmospheric air that gets into the lung region, from where it will be taken in by the hemoglobin, and from the lung region that the oxygen is transported to the tissue and the cells reaching the mitochondria. To that stage you can call it as external respiration. And after which, after getting into the cell, what happens to the oxygen and its involvement in the production of energy is called internal respiration. Anyway, now here we can go into the structure of heme. Now the heme is a porphyrin ring. Here you can see there are 4 pentagonal structures and they are said to be pyrrole rings. Now these 4 pyrrole rings are connected to each other, and the angles surrounded by methyl and vinyl groups, CH3 and CH2 groups. And then at the center of this ring you see there the presence of iron in a ferrous form, and which will be attaching to connected to these pyrrole rings on four sides through the nitrogen structures. So accordingly, one heme having an ion at the center, that is the active part of the heme, because only the ion will be helpful for taking in the oxygen and giving out the oxygen. So here you say the porphyrin ring of the heme. So one heme basically made of this ring structure with an ion inside. Now if you go into the hemoglobin structure, the hemoglobin, heme, that already as we noted, that's the porphyrin ring with ion unit inside. And then globin, that is the protein part of the hemoglobin. Now the protein part contains, made of 4 chains of amino acids. Of the 4 chains, 2 are alpha chains and 2 are beta chains. And you may be knowing basically the amino acid chains, simply you can call it as peptide chain, made of union of many more amino acids. And if in its form, if it forms a helical structure, it's called alpha chain. If the chains are arranged in the form of a ladder, straight ladder, and such kind of pleat structure, it is called beta chain. So based on the position of the peptide chain, appearance of the peptide chain, you can call simply as alpha chain and beta chain. Anyway, all are the peptide chains. And here the hemoglobin, one hemoglobin contains 4 heme units, and each one packeted into each of the chains. Here you see the red colored structure is the heme surrounded by one of the amino acid chains, peptide chains. And here one more. And here one more. 4 heme structures surrounded each with one of the amino acid chains. Accordingly, it is called a tetramer. Tetramer in terms of heme, number of heme making one hemoglobin, it is a tetramer. If you assume it to be a molecule of heme and one amino acid chain as a monomer, and there the hemoglobin made of one molecule of hemoglobin made of 4 units of heme. Accordingly, the hemoglobin is a tetramer of 4 hemes. And the structure of hemoglobin is said to be tertiary structure. And here also you can assume, according to the complexity, folding of the amino acids, amino acid chain, peptide chain, there the proteins are considered into 4 structures: primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. So here primary structure, you say a simple straight peptide chain, conformation, CONFORMATION, conformation. Here that is the shape or the appearance of the peptide chain. Accordingly, here it is a tertiary structure. You can assume it as a folded structure with hydrogen bonds, salt linkages, van der Waals forces, and all these linkage forces that the peptide chains may join to form a hemoglobin molecule. So in general it is called tertiary structure because of the complexity of the foldings making an united molecule of hemoglobin. So structure of heme is a porphyrin ring having an ion unit inside. That is the structure of heme. And hemoglobin is, there are 4 heme units, each one covered by, supported by one peptide chain, and accordingly 4 heme units making one hemoglobin molecule. And such millions of structures present inside one RBC. And then if you say myoglobin, even I have given here the number of amino acids making alpha chain and beta chains. Each alpha chain is made of 141 amino acids, each beta chain made of 146 amino acids. That way you can calculate how many amino acids may form one hemoglobin molecule along with the heme. And myoglobin, it's a single polypeptide chain. Now contrast to the hemoglobin, because it is a tetramer. Hemoglobin is a tetramer. In what sense we say? There are 4 polypeptide chains and 4 heme units making one hemoglobin molecule. But here one myoglobin molecule made of one heme and one polypeptide chain. Accordingly, even here we have given 143 amino acids, that too in alpha form. And that's the difference between myoglobin and hemoglobin in structure. It's also globular, myoglobin is also globular, but a monomer of heme and one polypeptide chain. And then myoglobin is present in muscle tissue, as we already told her, but hemoglobin present in RBC, and the myoglobin is to receive oxygen from hemoglobin. Accordingly, you can assume it as a storehouse of oxygen inside the muscle tissue, but hemoglobin in contrast involving in transport of oxygen from the lung region to tissue region. So with that idea, you can understand all these important terms. So hemoglobin, heme, myoglobin, tertiary structure, a tetramer, and then porphyrin ring, and all those.